Good evening. Thank you all for joining us today. This is our 30th Opus concert. This is our yes. It is the 20th anniversary of MusicComp, and it is the 50th year celebration for the Vermont Arts Council, one of our sponsors for today's event. Our other major sponsor is MusicFirst, an online class management tool that about 80% of the students in MusicComp are using. I'm Sandy McLeod, Executive Director of MusicComp. I'm thrilled to see such a wonderful audience tonight, and I'd like to invite Jim Frankel to come up and speak for a few minutes.
Thank you very much, Sandy. My name is Jim Frankel. I'm the Director of MusicFirst, and it is my distinct pleasure and honor to be here with you tonight for this 30th Opus concert. I've known Sandy and Ann Hamilton for about 20 years. I saw them present this concept 20 years ago at a conference and was absolutely floored by it. Many of you may not know that this is probably one of the most unique programs in the world. There are literally less than 5 programs like this running on the entire planet. So you are extremely privileged, in my opinion, to have this program here in Vermont. I will come up and support this program. As long as I'm running a company, I'll have the major sponsorship report and sponsorship support. As long as I have dollars in my wallet, I'll also personally support this program. But congratulations to Sandy, to Ann, and all the people at MusicComp, the mentors, the teachers, the parents, but most importantly, the students. I just want you to know I'll be sitting in the back with my tissues because this is the coolest thing I can possibly imagine happening to a kid in this country today. Hearing their original work played by professional musicians, it doesn't get any cooler. Thank you very much.
Announcers will explain a little bit about each work before it's performed. And I'd like to introduce the first one, Eileen Kocher-Lakota. And next, they'll alternate, so the next one will be Sage Green. Just before Eileen gives you the first announcement, Sage and Eileen have been composing with the program for quite a number of years. Sage has started in her sophomore year, and she's had something in every single opus since she first began. And Eileen started in 4th grade. Now, she missed a few years because she got interested in other things, but Eileen has been with us since 4th grade. With both of them as seniors this year, I'm so pleased that they're going to do the announcement, and I congratulate them for being with us for such a long time.
Student composers, please stand while the description of your work is read before the performance. The first piece on tonight's program is 2 Irish Dances by Harvard Union High School sophomore Rachel Schwartz. Rachel says of her piece, 2 Irish Dances opens with the Irish reel Fiddler's Tune. Inspired a bit by Charlie Daniels' The Devil Went Down to Georgia, the reel features the first violin. Both movements were inspired by a relative who immigrated to the United States during the Great Potato Famine of the 1840s. I can imagine he missed the music from his homeland very much.
my piece for strings because I am a string player. I play violin. The reason why I like composing, well, I started composing in about 3rd or 4th grade. I don't really know, and I really liked it. I was like, yeah, I like this. And
what did you like about it?
well, I liked how it kind of makes me happy. Like, I do it all the time when I'm bored or something like that. I just do it all the time and it makes me happy. The reason why I started composing like big pieces for Opus, well, my music teacher, Bill Nygaard, he pulled like a bunch of kids over to his room and said, hey, you guys want to try Opus 29? And we wrote pieces, of course, and I recently got my piece selected in Opus 29. It was called A Bright Day, and I just wanted to keep going and going.
Gracie Bangora is in the 5th grade at the Integrated Arts Academy at H.O. Wheeler School. She says of her piece, "The Weather Outside is a string quartet piece that shows the changes of weather. There are several places in my piece that gradually get louder, softer, slower, and faster. The weather outside mostly will sound like it is raining. This piece connects to Vermont because, of course, weather. In this piece, I decided to do something different. Instead of having one boring part and a completely awesome one, I decided to give each instrument equal playing parts."
Hi, Darius. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, let's do that one again. Before we try going back over it quickly, is there anything particularly that you want to hear differently?
Okay, that's why. Sorry,
Do you want to hear the accents completely wrong?
Take it like one thing at a time. First, the notes were all, did the notes sound right? Then the dynamics, and then is any instrument being covered up that you want to hear better? So, don't take it in pieces.
I think that for the violins to try to hold the notes just make them smoother.
There you go. Instead of,
Yeah.
you want smoother stuff? Perfect, okay, that'll be great. Perfect, no, that'll change it a lot.
Let's do it from the top.
That'd be more fun to play. Now, did you hear the balance? That's called balance. When, was the bass loud enough, and were the violins too loud, or did you like the
I
balance?
think the balance is really good.
Okay, great, wonderful. Just that last note, the way, at least the way the computer played it, it was loud the whole time. That note, when everyone else drops out, it's fully present, right? It didn't just kind of slide in.
Yeah, I was doing a dramatic effect.
I kind of like what
You like what he did?
Yeah.
All right,
Better than excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
great.
Darius Parker is in the 5th grade at the grammar school. He describes his string quartet, The Green Mountain Storm, by saying, "This piece is fast and suspenseful. Though I had thought of many different names and had many challenges to overcome, it was really fun to compose. The part that I had the most fun composing was the bass line. It was the first thing that I composed in the piece. Then I built up the rest of the instruments off of that. The last thing I did was to add the dynamics."
Grammar School 5th grade student Zoe Robb describes her piece as follows. The mystery of winter is describing the heart of winter in the midst of a heavy snowstorm. Close your eyes and imagine. The power has just gone out and you are sort of scared but don't want to show it. You are thinking about all the creepy stuff and all the stuff in the world that you don't know. You are questioning the meaning of life itself. Then the power comes back on and you forget all about your deep thinking and get on with life. Until the next time the power goes out.
You guys play instruments?
I play the tuba, and I used to play the piano.
You play the tuba?
I do play.
How'd you end up playing the tuba?
I guess I just wanted something that nobody else really had, and I wanted something that was low and big, so that was probably my best bet.
So your piece is about the attack on Fort
Ticonderoga
from Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys.
Yeah.
Did that come first, or did the music part, or did pieces of the music come first?
Well, actually, first I made a song with trumpets in it. It was more of a brass song, and it had trumpets instead of the violin, and it was called War is Coming. But then I changed it over to strings, and I kind of made the attack on Ticonderoga after, because the song was kind of already sounded like that. Movies, like the soundtrack of the movies, I always kind of like the war scene songs to them. So I kind of always wanted to do something like that, and I kind of wanted to have a good part and an evil part. I guess the low bass was kind of the evil part, and the violin and the viola kind of like good.
So you just had a rehearsal with your piece.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. What was that like?
I thought I wouldn't have anything to want to change what they already have been doing, but it turned out that some places it needed a little bit of help, but sometimes they'd already just fix it on themselves without me even having to say anything.
It's like what? Can you think of a specific example?
I wanted something to be a little more slurred, and they were playing it like staccato before, but they just kind of changed it the second time they played it, so I didn't really have to ask. And they kind of did their own style to it, which I liked.
Assam Heyman Jones, a 7th grader from the Glover Community School, writes of his piece, War is Comin'. This is a song imitating the Green Mountain Boys' attack in Ticonderoga. It has the marching in the beginning, and in the middle it is quiet when they snuck in. At the end, there is a battle and victory march. War is comin'.
Mine is just kind of trying to write like a regular autumn day in Vermont, and I was trying to do like kind of the excitements of autumn, except and then like in a minor part I was doing the like having it change to winter, and most people don't like the cold and it's getting colder. And for the excitements I had like leaves swirling to the ground, and that's like I just pictured them like going all the way around, and I just did that by like kind of repeating some notes and how like leaves fall after another. It's kind of like that. And then for the minor parts, I just kind of put down what I thought would sound the best. And it was mostly in A minor, the minor parts. Oh my god, that was good.
Were the tempos okay?
Yeah, the tempos were fine. I was kind of impressed because I thought it would be hard for the to change tempos like a lot. The only thing I have is that where is it? This measures 31 through 33 for the clarinet. I thought you're kind of getting a little bit behind. With
keep it going.
With the,
All right.
I kind of felt like that. That's
Yeah, I gotta stay with
mostly
your 16th. Yeah.
And did the snooty part sound snooty?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how do I sound snooty on the
I don't know. I just, that part I was just thinking how it sounded and I just wrote it. It's not necessarily you have to play like that.
Okay.
Very first measure. Do you want to hear like bing, bong, bong? Or do you want us to sneak in like?
I think sneak in.
Sneak it. Okay, niente.
And maybe the second note that everyone plays a little bit quieter than you did on the first note.
Okay.
All right, so it's not quite as big a thing. All right, I'm gonna put, just for me, I'm gonna put mezzo
Me
piano.
too. Because
Yeah, just a mezzo.
Because I tend to, you see mezzo forte, that's a function of forte, that's like, so you don't, I think if we articulate it and keep it soft, it'll probably do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Shall we?
All righty.
That was great.
I like that.
And one thing I forgot to comment on in the beginning, but you did it this time, was the 16th notes in measure 7 for the clarinet and the oboe. They were, I don't know, I forgot what happened, but it's fine now.
We were off.
Yeah, you were
a
little off,
We didn't
but
play it
it's
right.
fine now.
I do have a question for 29, for measure 30, like 31 through to letter D. When I play the quarter notes, I'm tempted to either do them legato or do them accent. So either like, or, I'm not sure what you want.
I think you should do them with accents.
Accents, okay.
That would sound better.
I'm gonna write that in, 'cause it's, okay. Alrighty.
Okay.
Is that it?
Good.
I think we're good.
Good job.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Sounds good.
Fun piece.
Eric Heightsmith, a 6th grade student at Ludlow Elementary School, writes, "The name of my composition is A Vermont Autumn Day. I found my inspiration by noticing all of the different colors in autumn. Another way I found this title is because autumn brings leaves that crunch under your feet and make noise. I have made 2 fast allegro sections to show leaves swirling back and forth to the ground. The rest of the piece is andante to give a description of the colors. The beginning of the piece sounds minor to represent the air getting colder."
Do you play instruments?
I play the piano and I can blow into a saxophone, but I can't play it.
And so what is Drifting Snow? How does that come into your music?
I wanted it to kind of have a wintry feel, like the snow was falling. Kind of a major/minor song. So like I wanted it to feel like the flute and clarinet kind of like were drifting along, and then the snow, and then the cello was keeping a bass for it.
What do you guys like about composing?
It was a small group from Charlotte, and we composed our songs, and it was really fun to like hear from other people like what they think about your music and how they think you might want to add in some things, and I think it was really fun to do that.
And what's your favorite part of the whole experience so far?
I think writing the music, and once you're done, how joyful you feel, like you did like such an amazing piece and you worked for so long and you finally can admire your work and listen to how it came out.
Nika Hare, a 4th grade student from Charlotte Central School, wrote Drifting Snow. She says, "Music is a big part of my life, so I wanted to take a challenge with my song. My composition is called Drifting Snow. I wanted to capture the strength and beauty of winters in Vermont. My piece has 3 instruments, cello, flute, and clarinet. The flute and the clarinet are holding the melody while the cello builds a strong bass. My inspiration was the beauty of snowflakes blowing around in the wind."
What I like about Opus is that I have a reason to compose. And I have like something that's motivating me to put my ideas and myself into my composition. Because my weekly schedule is really busy. I have something every single day of the week. And then I snowboard on the weekends in the winter. So I'm really busy. So I don't have time to just compose freely, except at a composer's club. And I used to not go to that unless I had an Opus piece. So with Opus, I have a motivation to make the time to compose a piece and make the time to kind of do what I like to do. With a mentor and with the music comp, I'm like,
you have
I want to read right now, but this piece, I need to work on it.
Yeah,
and so I compose. The reason I like composing is because I get to make my own type of music. Because when I listen to other people's music, I connect to it, and I kind of understand it. So if it's like a happy piece of music, I just can't help myself from smiling. And stuff like that. When it's sad, sometimes I cry. And stuff like that. But so I want to make my own music that I can share with other people. I wrote the piece called The Mimic, which the reason it relates to Vermont is because it sounds like the wind, kind of whistling through the trees and things.
So why did you pick the instruments?
Well, I picked a wind quartet because I really like how smooth it is. Kind of like a violin, but a little bit more like whistling instead of sort of like
because it's written
vibrating.
to make it sound like wind.
Not necessarily, but sort of because it kind of flows in a way that's almost kind of like whistling and it's smooth, and I like it.
Victoria Barbieri is in the 5th grade at the Integrated Arts Academy. She says, "The mimic is a piece of music that travels between 2 parts, almost like a mimic would do. I relate this piece to Vermont because it sounds like the wind blowing through the trees and repeating itself at different points. The themes of this piece are the wind in Vermont and a mimic, so I chose for this piece to have a lot of moving parts and eighth notes. I hope you enjoy my composition.
Do you play an instrument?
I used to play the clarinet, yeah.
Is that why you were for clarinet?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I know what it sounds like.
How did you start?
I didn't really know what I was going to start with. I just put a few notes together in the first one, and I decided that it sounded good, and I was going to keep it.
Who was your mentor for the process?
My mentor was Rebecca Larkin, and Mrs. Ader helped me a lot.
So what was that like? How was it working with two different people especially?
It was really good because Rebecca had a lot of good suggestions for my piece, and Mrs. Ader helped me put it all together, and I would like to thank Mrs. Ader for helping me on that.
What did you learn from the whole process?
I learned that, well, it's not that easy to write a song, and it takes a lot of effort and time, but it's worth it to finish it and know that you've created that piece.
Happy Winter Day in Vermont was composed by Kaylee Goulet McCarthy, who is in the 5th grade at Wallingford Elementary School. She says, I wrote this piece to describe a happy winter day in Vermont because when I listen to it, I picture that I'm having fun with my friends outside in the snow. It is a happy, upbeat song, and I hope you like it.
Ella Mason, a fifth grader from Champlain Elementary School, says of her piece, "In the depths of Lake Champlain." This piece was inspired by thinking about the lake and all the animals underwater. Also, it is about how lonely and mysterious the lake can be. In this piece, I used one viola and one cello because to me, they remind me of the lake and the water. I hope you enjoy it.
I had one thought about, I think at 31 mainly. Maybe, I don't think you need to go that fast,
All
maybe
right.
just
Yeah.
a tiniest bit of an acceleration.
Just like repeat, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Nadia, we can treat that glissando differently if you like. We could do it at the very end, or we could do it the whole time, like.
That's why we were doing that last time.
I think actually the having it just at the end sounded
Okay, so like a
great.
dotted quarter, dotted half, and then 2, 3, and
Yeah.
just go watch away from me because I'm okay. Okay, good.
Let's just do that slide once. 34.
Okay, what is
Can we take 34?
Yep. Sorry, 3.
Is that
What I
it?
did actually, I did an arco that time.
Yeah,
And then I did it on the second beat, and that works.
Yeah, I
Can
think
do
that
Okay.
both of those sound great. Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's charming. Nadia.
Okay.
Great. Nadia Scopatoni, an 8th grade student from Main Street Middle School, says of her duet for viola and cello. Autumn Pixies is supposed to be an exciting dance with different sections of melodies. It is both upbeat and more somber in different areas of the piece. It is based in Vermont in the autumn. The pixies are supposed to symbolize colorful leaves falling. I have a range of dynamics and speeds which help to emphasize the excitement of the piece.
kind of when I listen to music, it's always good to find those types of like chord progressions in a song that gives you like chills, gives you that moment. So that's why I named it, and I wanted to find sections of my song and build up sections of my song that would get you to that moment. So it kind of builds up into the ending, which is the big one, but it has little moments within it.
So little moments that then
Yeah.
add up to one big final moment.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's kind of, I wanted to build an emotional connection to a song.
What sort of emotion?
All of them actually within different sections of the song, depending on what part you're listening to.
Nice, a little roller coaster along
Yeah.
the way.
How do you pronounce your name?
Milena.
Elena. Thank you. It's beautiful. It's very, very, very cinematic. I was going to say cinematic, but him like in a cinematic kind of way.
I feel like we should make our colors lighter when it's a piano, more more softer.
Yeah.
I feel like our portraits are great, but our pianos and that's
And
not.
yeah, I agree. And can we also bring out the suspensions? Whoever's playing the suspension.
Yes.
I have a question about the actual, the way it's at 8, you have it Do you want?
Yeah.
I thought so, that's why, okay, I'm gonna fix that. It happens both the times, just so if you wanna make a note in your own.
Okay. And then the measure right before C can be, so you have that digga 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 digga, da da da, and it can, the
More
last
hard.
that could be like bum, bum, bum,
yeah, I saw
bum.
it. Perfect.
Like
Perfect.
really, really
Really
slow
good.
down the time. Yeah, maybe a little bit more.
Even more, okay.
Yeah. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
What bar is that?
That's 25.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Harwood High School senior Milena Johnson describes her string quartet, The Moment. This piece is very different from the pieces I usually write. Its purpose is to create a whole world of relaxation, comfort, and support. I titled this piece The Moment because each instrument is given its own special moment and part that essentially contributes its own musical line of support and comfort to the entire piece. When you listen, you can pick out which line belongs to which instrument as it moves along. When I listen to this song, and I encourage you to try this as well, I put myself in an open field where it's quiet, calm, and I can set all my worries aside.
So your piece is about St. Albans for this opus.
Yeah, the St. Albans Raid.
The St. Albans Raid.
Because Sandy told me it was supposed to be Vermont themed.
Yep.
So I was thinking about I wanted to try something like topic writing about something like a story. I love Billy Joel, and Billy Joel tells stories in his songs.
That he does. So let's back up a second though. The St. Albans Raid. What is the St. Albans Raid?
Bandits from the Confederacy cross the border and they steal money from 3 banks in St. Albans, and they cross the border again.
The border.
The Canadian border.
Canadian border.
Canadian border, and it's the only Civil War action in the state. So I thought it'd be cool to write about. And it was.
That is cool. So how did you put that into your music?
It starts out kind of quiet, like they're sneaking across the border, and then they come into the town. There's a happy sounding thing for small town, and then they stay the night. It gets quiet, and then in the morning they rob the bank, and it gets kind of loud, and then it quiets up again because they're away from the town and they're going through the border, and it ends where they cross the border.
So you really stick to the story pretty accurately then, huh?
Yeah, I had to do some research.
Why do you compose music? How did you get into it, and why do you keep doing it?
I don't know. I'm going back to Billy Joel. I guess I want to be Billy Joel, But I'm sticking here because it's fun. I like writing, and I like listening to music. I think it's rewarding, and I wanna have a career in it.
What did I come into at B? Did I do it right? That's why I want to go over it.
I think we were all a little discombobulated at the moment. I don't think
Yeah,
it was
Ethan, could you give us the beginning tempo one more time?
That's pretty much what you were doing.
Okay, good. So we're good. Yeah, so just do this,
I think it'll be easier this time.
Yeah.
A?
Very cool.
Nice.
That's a great piece.
Yeah.
Really. So when you have the da da da, you're gonna start those jumbo da da.
Yeah,
da,
I do,
time.
yeah. And then that last one down, so. Do you want those more smooth, or are you okay with articulation?
I like it. I think it's right.
Only a little baroque, because it feels like right there, so.
It does have that feel, doesn't it?
I like it very, it's the dance, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has it's like a mixture between a Baroque dance and a American, revolutionary.
That's right. It's a revolutionary Baroque piece.
That's
There we go. That takes place in the Civil War. Here we go.
Oh, and at A,
Yeah,
whoever
please.
has second violin, I think you can bring it out a little more. Because
Yeah, I like that. I like that part.
I do too. Okay. Yeah, that's what we would think. I want to start it small, since this happens over and over again. Like the first time, everybody
Yeah.
has to kind of listen.
My bad.
Ethan Duncan, an 8th grade independent study student, says of his piece, St. Albans, 1864. This piece depicts the St. Albans Raid, the most northerly land action of the American Civil War. It starts with the Confederates crossing the border into Vermont. Afterwards, it tells of a scene from the town, a small but lively place. Then, we go back to the raiders entering the town and preparing for the raid. The town sleeps for the night and the robberies begin. Afterwards, the raiders escape into Canada. A total of $88,000, today over $3 million, was stolen from 3 St. Albans banks. Only one of these still stands, but unfortunately, it's now just a branch of TD Bank.
Yeah, the winds fade out, except the bassoon, which is still trying to keep the rhythm of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the strings slowly fade out, and then the oboe uprises as Vermont.
And then there's a Vermont theme.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. It's scored for a string quintet, flute, oboe, clarinet, bass clarinet, and bassoon.
Is that is every single instrument you could have used, correct?
Not quite. Every player I could have used. I could have also added English horn and contrabassoon.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
nice. I like it. Is this the biggest group you've ever written for?
No. I've written for the Vermont Symphony Orchestra. Well, I think this is more parts than I've ever written, but the Vermont Symphony Orchestra was a bigger ensemble.
What's it like writing for so many different parts?
It gives me a lot more freedom writing for different parts because I can have full chords behind something, and I can have many different voices intertwining into each other. I really prefer that as opposed to writing for maybe 2 or 3 instruments.
Mm-hmm. It is liberating in a lot of
Yes.
ways. I find it to be both liberating and intimidating sometimes. How did the rehearsal go? Any big surprises?
At one point, they played the battle section a lot quicker than I had expected, and I was like, whoa. And then once they finished through the piece, I told them to slow it down a little bit, and then it seemed normal again. Like, as I was listening to it, I was like, maybe this would sound good faster. But then I told them to slow it down anyway, and I kind of liked that better.
Oh, this is a big one.
Oh, this is a big one.
It's a biggie. This one has everybody in it.
So at A, a bit slower there.
Okay.
So fast?
Yeah.
Okay, this
Yeah, give me that.
Da, 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 da,
I'll give it 3-4. You gotta come in a second.
Yeah, about 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
In describing her piece, Battle for Vermont, Leland and Gray Jr., Susie Francie, writes, "This piece is set in 1790, when America had become an independent country, but Vermont had not yet become an independent state. It starts off beautifully, like what one would hear while taking a casual stroll through the countryside. However, New York and New Hampshire soon realize the potential of this unclaimed land and begin its pursuit. After an intense war for the land, Vermont remains unclaimed and becomes independent, free of the reign of an outside force."
making the piece, I just thought about kind of just prancing around in the snow and looking at the morning dew.
And this is Frosty Tango,
yes,
correct?
this is Frosty Tango. Just kind of watching your cat, like, what is this stuff? Snow? Wow. Yeah.
So how does that come out in your music?
Just kind of lots of undertones and overtones, just kind of very somewhat light and jumpy, just kind of happy stuff. Snow.
How do you write music? And how do you think of ideas? Do you always use a computer? Do you play instruments to help you come up with ideas? Do you ever use a pencil and actually write down notes?
Well, I'm kind of laid back with the way I think of things. I'll just kind of like do
I
my
think
own.
that's definitely your favorite word right now.
Yeah.
Laid back, I like it.
I kind of I'll just go around do my normal things, and then if I think sometimes things just pop into my head and be like, oh my god, I gotta get the notes like right now. Because I generally forget a lot of things, and I it's like, oh my god, I have to do it right now, because I generally forget a lot, and I just generally think of things and then I put them on the page, and just do whatever sounds best. Just a quick note for everybody: make it like really dramatic. Like if there's a crescendo or decrescendo, like really bring those out. Like really like go quite really loud. Kind of accentuate every dynamic.
Okay.
The final beat of the second to last measure and the last measure are both pits. So like
For everybody?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, was that not really? That was
No.
And we have 2 8 notes we'll put down.
Okay.
Not much. Quick question. Here, wait. Does violin 1 and B, do you have a mezzo forte?
Yeah, do you want it less?
Yeah, just a little less.
No problem.
Second, it really come out.
Yeah.
You have violin too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to do the quarters.
I also have a question. Pick up to measure 25, the quarter. Do I have a crescendo there? It looks like I may have a crescendo.
Yeah.
And what dynamic am I starting from?
You were starting. What is?
Yeah.
I was dynamic. Start at like a mezzo piano.
Mezzo piano's a big dramatic crescendo. Got it. Okay. Time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Frosty Tango by Colin Desch, who is in the 8th grade at Main Street Middle School. He writes, "While I was creating this piece, I kept in mind the frost and the soft snowfall that takes place at the beginning of winter. Also showcasing some more intense storms and flurries, the elements of this piece show the variation in the wintry weather. It simply demonstrates the illustriousness of Vermont's coldest season." Coach Lakota. I'm from Burlington, Vermont. I'm a senior. I will be attending University of Michigan next year. And I also play violin, and I've been doing music comp since 4th grade.
4th grade?
Yes.
Absolute veteran. So, walk me through that. What was it? Can you think back to how it's changed for you and what it's been like?
You know, when I was in 4th grade, I wanted to do it because my sister did it. And of course, she stopped doing it, like, right after I started doing it. And I don't think she's, like, touched an instrument.
Older sister?
Older sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, she discovered she didn't really like music as much. But I loved it, and my elementary school teacher just ran this after-school program, and we'd come in every week, and we'd compose. And I'm pretty sure for my first piece, I just put down a lot of notes, and then I did that for the next instrument, and then, you know, I submitted it, and I was really happy because I thought it was really awesome. And then Eric Nielsen, you know, he wrote back, he's like, that's a really good start, you know, some of these notes, they're next to each other, which means they're clashing. How about you, like, separate them a little bit more? And I was like, oh, okay. But I kind of learned a lot about music theory just through that, and then I took some with him through the Vermont Youth Orchestra Association.
And then now what's writing music like for you? Not just throwing notes on the page.
Not just throwing notes on the page.
I
I usually start with a melody, and like that takes me a really long time to get it down, and then I'll usually try and work on the bass part and then kind of add things in, and then I'll see where I am and where does the piece feel like it's gonna go. So I kind of just start with a bit and then move on.
So what did you write for Opus?
I wrote for string quartet, so 2 violins, viola, and cello. It's called The Frozen Lake, and it's in all minor keys, which is a first for me. And it's kind of a theme and variations, which is also a first for me.
And so the Frozen Lake relating to Lake Champlain,
Yes.
I would assume?
Yes, Lake Champlain. It's a Vermont theme. So.
Yep. Did you start with a melody? Did you start with an idea? Did you start with a concept?
I started with melody. I wasn't really sure where I was going, so I started this doing the string quartet workshop, and it's 5 days. The first 2 days I was working on something, and then I got there the 3rd day, I was like, I really don't like what I just wrote. I'm going to start all over again. So I ended up writing the melody for that, and I wrote it in the violin part, and I was playing around with it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it in the viola part, because that sounds cooler for me. So I put it in the viola part, and I kind of went from there, and I wrote a cello part to go along with it, and then I added in the second violin, and then the first violin, and then it moves to this fun pizzicato section, but it's kind of dark and cold, kind of, because it's the lake.
Nice. As a violist, I thank you for giving the viola the melody.
Well, you know, I was like,
We
I
always
was thinking,
appreciate it.
I haven't really made fun viola parts in the past, so I should really, use this, so.
Historically, we kind of get the short end of the stick.
Yeah. As a violinist, I almost always get the melody, so yes.
That's a fact. So, the Frozen Lake. How does that come out in your music, besides being minor and dark?
Well, so in the beginning, it's kind of, I feel like it's freezing, and it's really low. It's very low for the viola, and the cello is quite low as well. And then, over the course of like the first bit, it's freezing, and everyone's realizing, oh, winter's here because the lake just froze. And then it goes into this very cheerful, happy part, and I kind of feel like whenever the lake freezes, everyone's like, wow, we have to go ice skating, or we have to go play on the lake, or do something on the lake. So it's people having fun. And then it kind of shifts a little, it speeds up, and I guess that's just for me, the lake, even when it's frozen, I feel like it has all these different, like it looks different on certain days, and like if there's snow on it or if there's no snow on it. So kind of that's like it's shifting how it looks, and then it keeps using the same kind of theme, but of course it changes because it's theme and variations. And then when I get to the end, I use bits from each of the different variations, and I put it all together into one final theme with the first theme.
Eileen Kocher Lakota is a senior at Burlington High School. She says of her piece, The Frozen Lake, the different sections of the piece represent the different forms the lake can take once it has frozen over. This piece, in its essence, is theme and variations, with a theme from the beginning morphing as the piece progresses. In the beginning, it is dark and mysterious, with the lower instruments taking control and freezing over. The higher instruments then gradually enter and usher in a more playful section, such as people skating on the lake. The next section is a bit more mournful and has changed keys, though stayed minor and speeds up a bit. It then goes back to the original melody, but with elements from the other variations intertwined with it. It slows down and quietly fades away, and with it, the ice on the lake begins to melt.
Usually my process, I just think about things, honestly. Just think about anything. You can find inspiration anywhere, and once you find your inspiration, it's not that hard to go further and create an entire piece of music.
What do you like about composing? Why do you do it?
It's a form of self-expression, and it lets me get out any feelings that I have, happy, sad, whatever. It's also kind of, when you're so busy in life, like I have a job, I'm a cashier, I work a lot of hours, and you have homework and school and trying to do social things, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a world away from that. It's your own place, you get to be by yourself. And yeah, every now and then you have your peers who listen to the music, but for the most part, you just get to be by yourself. It's my alone time. Mm-hmm. So that's what I like about it, at least.
The Roamings of a Snowshoe Hare is by North Country Union High School senior Sagelyn Green. She says of her piece, "All new beginnings of life are joyful, playful, and tumbling," which is the first depiction of this piece. The snowshoe hare is with other baby animals exploring new life and then goes off on its own. The snowshoe hare is cautious and quiet, but fast and still in possession of its younger curiosities. The hare sees beautiful birds and follows them for a while, but they fly away, and so it continues on. It then encounters a catamount, which in itself is a mysterious animal because of the uncertainty of its continued existence, and so the snowshoe hare scurries, as the catamount continues on its way. Unfortunately, the hare runs into a fox and they have a dramatic battle, with Snowshoe Hare nearly escaping with its life to end the piece.
Inverno in Tre Movimentos is by Anna Scopatone, a junior at Montpelier High School. This piece is about the emotions that one feels when going through a Vermont winter, as cold and miserable as this one. The first movement, frustrazione, meaning frustration, is a representation of what one might feel when they look at their thermometer and see negative 20 degrees. The second movement, rimorso, meaning remorse, is a representation of what one might feel when they reflect on how they complained of 50-degree weather in September. The final movement, serenità, meaning serenity, is what one feels when it's 40 degrees out and one can just wear a sweater instead of a down jacket and a portable space heater.
was really wonderful. So, a couple things. First of all, the flute and second violin have this thing where when it goes to like the major thing where the contrabassoon is on like a low D and stuff, you guys are both playing melodies, and at 17, you should play louder and more confidently. Like the second violinist should play louder and more confidently, because the second violin actually has a part that's more melodic than like the first violin. I sort of switched it up there.
Yeah, I feel like also just the texture in general is a little loud. I feel like, I mean, not that it's too loud all the time, I just feel like we could have a little more dynamic range.
Yeah, if you guys want to do that, sure. But like, just like at 17, make sure you play more confidently, and so you could, like, so people know that you have a melody along with her.
Patricia Bristow Johnson is a senior at South Burlington High School. She writes of her piece, Vermont Variations. This song contains variations on the theme introduced at the beginning. Most of it could easily invoke pastoral imagery, but it also contains some bounciness that might make listeners think of Church Street on a busy day.
Sunset in the Mountains is by Cameron Kimball, a sophomore at South Royalton High School. He writes about his piece. Vermont's mountains are a majestic, omniscient presence that I love to experience here in our lovely state. The slow, steady tones in this song illustrate the somber tranquility of the sunsets over the mountains. So sit back, relax, and please enjoy Sunset in the Mountains.
I wrote a piece called Vermont Magic, and it's about Vermont maple syrup and the process of it being made. And it's for the bass clarinet, English horn, bassoon, and flute. It kind of sounds like part of like a 007 type thing, or a mystery. So like it gets really heavy, and it's like some instruments start really slowly and then they speed up and get really fast, while one has like the main melody in it.
And how does that represent the maple syrup?
That was just for like the heavier, because at first it was like storming, and like as the maple syrup went through the tree and came out of it, and then as it starts boiling and it gets hotter and hotter, the music would get louder and more like intriguing. So.
Leslie Bixby, a junior at Black River High School, describes her piece, Vermont's Magic. Everyone has experienced the great taste of Vermont maple syrup, right? This piece is about the process in which maple syrup is made. Starting out in the tree, experiencing harsh, cold weather, and then soon being tapped while it is flowing through the tree, and once out, being boiled into the thick, sweet, and delicious syrup.
What's your process like? Where do you start? Do you always use a computer? Do you use a pencil, paper at times? Do you write on an instrument?
I mostly use the computer. I'll sometimes try out chord progressions on our piano. I mean, I started just by trying to put together a melody, and just something simple underneath it, like a simple harmony. And that's how I wrote this piece very similarly. I started with the flute melody and the bassoon notes, and I sort of filled in with the oboe and clarinet.
So this is your fourth opus.
Yes.
What the first piece you wrote was?
Yes, I think so. It was a string trio, 2 violins and a cello. Let's see, it was in minor. With the cello had a continuous, not continuous, but a repetitive bass line with the violins playing chords on top of it.
And how does that piece differ from what you wrote for the wind quartet?
The mood is a lot different. That one was slow and minor. This one is also slow, but it's a lot lighter and happier.
And how about your skills? How have your composition skills changed over that time?
The harmonies, I've come to write much more complex harmonies. Let's see, my first opus, I mean, it was the same thing over and over, a simpler chord progression, and I've been able to lengthen smaller sections of the music and elaborate on those to make a longer and more interesting piece.
Woodwind Quartet in D major is by Anna Holliday, who is in the 8th grade at Edmonds Middle School. She says, "This is a light, lazy, happy wind quartet that reminds me of swimming in the lake on a hot summer day. The main theme is interrupted in the middle with a minor section for the feeling when you're swimming in the lake and you have the sudden fear that there is some sea creature in the lake with you, but it resolves to the first melody in the end. I'd like to apologize in advance to the bassoon for writing such an awfully boring part. Smiley face."
How do we do with the tempi in there?
At the beginning, in the clarinet part, the tongued notes should be more legato.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
And then also, the cello has this part all alone in 7 and 8, and that should also be more legato.
Legato. All right, so you want it more lyrical and less dance-like.
Yeah.
Rather than
Like a peaceful mountain.
not like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good.
In A and in the cello part, I don't know why, but the cello doesn't seem like as short as the viola, and I don't know if that's
I could be
changed
longer,
or-
and I could be longer.
No, I'd rather shorter.
Okay.
Okay, gang, that's all the time we got on this.
You're good.
Aaron, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Nice piece. Good work.
Couching lion is another name for camel's hump.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's awesome. I knew there was some kind of Vermont insider tip.
Really?
I'm already hooking up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's about climbing camel's hump, and I called it couching lion because that's cooler sounding than camel's hump.
That's very cool.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
I'll have to think of this next time I'm hiking there.
Number 2.
It was different this year writing for a specific theme, the Vermont, because I had no idea what I was going to write about, and then I wouldn't have considered writing about a mountain.
How did that inform your composition process?
Because I was writing about a journey instead of just a song, so there were like different sections that were different parts of the hike, so it gave an order to everything.
So what are your sections?
Starts out when you're looking at the mountain and you kind of don't want to get out of the car. And then the next one is hiking up and all the birds are singing. And then you're kind of wearily plodding up the mountain. And then finally you get to break the tree line and there's all the fog whipping by and it's really dreary but also cool. And finally you get to the top and then it goes back down again with similar themes.
Erin McGill is a freshman at Harvard Union High School. She says of her piece, Couching Lion. This composition is about climbing Camel's Hump, or the Couching Lion, which is a mountain near where I live. It starts with a look at the mountain, then tells the story of someone climbing up cheerfully. After hiking through wind and rain to the summit, they head back down again and drive away. It is for clarinet, violin, viola, and cello.
when it came to Vermont seasons, I just thought of 4 different scenes, but I ended up having to cut 2 out for time restraints. So it's only going to be summer and fall, and it's more what they meant to me. And I find summer to be fun. You're out of school. I work at a summer camp, so I just hang out with my friends basically. And fall is more beautiful and peaceful to me.
What was the hardest part?
Transitions. Trying to connect the 4 seasons. That was so difficult.
How did you end up doing it?
I kind of tried to because with seasons they naturally transition to each other. So I kind of tried to portray that, and I don't know, it kind of worked. I feel like between summer and fall it didn't really work, so I'll see.
Do I have 4 bars between A and B?
Is it an empty bar? There are the 2 bars?
Yeah, it's an empty bar.
GP?
Where's an empty bar?
Bar 21.
Bar 21 is GP, okay, fine.
And then who's coming in at C?
I have just a whole note. It's
Yeah, whole note.
whole note.
And then I come down.
It's just
I
the
start
2
melody.
right there.
Perfect, okay.
Whenever there's a bar that contains no notes, it's good to write GP so that
We're not waiting till
otherwise
we all know.
we freak out.
Basically.
Some
more than
somebody
others.
messed up. Who's cueing C?
Viola, you guys hold a note, and I come in the second measure of C with melody.
Okay, you
On the
can
first
do it.
beat?
What do you have in your melody?
On the first part.
You
I've
cue
got
then,
dotted
so Katie
quarter
cues.
note, eighth notes, eighth notes.
Okay, perfect.
I'm looking at her.
C. I actually want that to be a little bit quieter, if that to happen.
I have a question.
Okay.
In measure 45, I'm mezzo forte, and measure 46, I'm accented forte. Do you want me to crescendo to that measure? I feel like it's a big arrival, or do you want it to be like a big subito right at letter F? So it's a little bit quieter, and then it's louder and accented at F. Do you want me to go towards that, or do you want it to be like a surprise?
No, actually go towards that.
Okay.
At D, the bass clarinet, if you could come in a little bit quieter.
Sure. So is the bassoon sort of dominant then, and I'm under him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, Steve.
Silly question. Julian's got a piano too.
Yeah.
That's
Actually.
That's irrelevant. You good?
Thank you.
Great, nice
Yeah,
piece.
good job.
Vermont's Journey of the 4 Seasons is by North Country Union High School junior Jonathan DeRowan. He writes, "I've taken 2 parts representing summer and fall from the full score for this concert. Summer is a happier part that uses faster rhythms to show that kids are ready to have fun with friends and not worry about school. Fall finishes the piece, portraying the autumn leaves and the bright colors and showing how peaceful nature is during the fall weather."
did you start composing?
I don't know exactly how I started. I know I've loved music ever since I was really young, and I guess just one day I decided that since I love music so much, it would be great if I could make it myself. So I had a little keyboard when I was young, and I just started pressing random notes on it to a rhythm, and I thought, oh, that's composing. And then I grew a little bit more sophisticated than that, and I learned how to play actual music and learned, like, well, I didn't really learn how to compose, but I just tried to, and just kept the songs in my head because I didn't know how to read or write music, and basically just played whatever I thought sounded good and composed melodies that way. And then, since I love technology so much, I found some computer software that lets me compose, and I started composing that way, and I've been composing ever since then, and I've changed software since then. I use a program called Ableton Live, and I also use Sibelius for sheet music, and so I really compose electronic music and piano music, and for this, classical.
So when did you get started doing Opus?
I just started this year. It's my first year.
Have you ever worked with a mentor for your compositions before?
Before Opus, no. Really my only mentor is my music teacher, but I haven't had a mentor that goes into as much detail.
So what was that like for your composition process?
I really thought it was very helpful because my mentor was Eric, and he mentioned a lot of things that I would never really thought about before, like in terms of dynamics, in terms of like note placement, and I don't know, I guess it was a new experience, and I think it caused me to think in a different way and think more about my compositions. I think it was really helpful for me.
Have you had a rehearsal yet?
Yep.
Tell me about that.
I didn't have to say too much. They did really good, but it was the only thing I had to say about it is they were going a little too fast because it was at 120 and they were going at least like 130. But yeah, and I had to resolve some things because like at the end there was a fermata and then one final note where everybody played, and they're like, oh, the fermata is kind of scary. Can we just skip that? So I said okay, and it still sounded good, and yeah, I didn't have to say too much. They asked me a few questions. I responded and like, I guess compromised. I don't think compromise is the right word because I'm not really taking anything away from it. So yeah.
Can we try in the penultimate bar just playing it in time this time, and Jacob, see what you think. We're just going to kind of leave off the fermata and just play it in time and see what you think of that. It'll be easier for us to coordinate the last
Yeah,
note.
it would be more forceful if we're precisely together, or else we're all kind of waiting. Are we ready for it? It worked out this time, but it would be a little scarier if you want to try one time without the fermata just to hear what it sounds like.
Okay.
Or you want it to maybe 2 bars?
I think that would be too long.
Yeah.
I felt like in time was a good length. But let's see what you think.
All right.
So,
you want to just take the ending?
you want to do the last 4 bars
We can
maybe?
do it when we get there if you want. All right.
Okay. Wait, I just want to run by one little breath before E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you okay if I separate that slur and just take the breath before the 2 aids there?
Yeah.
Is that all right without the fermata, or would you like it on the...
If you guys are more comfortable playing without the fermata, I think it sounds good.
Sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that slower than
Lake Region High School sophomore Jacob Dennison says of his piece, Winter Walk. I moved to Vermont as a child and I came to love winter. In my backyard, there's a mound with a forest and a brook. The staccato notes in the bass represent my crunching footsteps in the snow, while the higher parts, drifting in and out, represent the breeze. Then, the snow starts falling when the string parts form chords. The melody the oboe has after this part represents the snowfall as I continue the walk. Snow falls from trees and the wind picks up and you hear the rushing water of the brook. Then, the piece changes key and slows down. At the Andante section, I sit near the brook, water rushing, wind blowing, and ice cracking.
Good evening. I'm Eric Nielsen. I'm senior mentor with Music Comp. And I just want you to know these folks have been here since noon today. They never lost their good nature. They were sweet and wonderful to all these fantastic composers. And you kids just don't know how lucky you are. I mean, you're getting 15 or 20 minutes for a 1 to 3 minute piece. I had the National Symphony play a piece of mine. It was 20 minutes long. I got 30 minutes. So, and not only that, but kids around the country would cut off, well, they give a lot to have what you have here. So, and it's partly because of fantastic musicians like this. I think they deserve another hand. Just a couple more words here. First, I want to thank our stage crew, Andy Gagnon and Jake Lester, who are both mentors and UVM grads, and who did a great job making sure everything worked smoothly, as well as our MCs, Sage Green and Eileen Kocher Lakota. And the person who has done the most always and hates it whenever we bring attention to her, but without whom this program would not exist, Sandy McLeod. And finally, just a plea from me, if you value this program, please help to support it. Without your support, we won't exist. So please, give what you can, and then we'll have many more opuses like this, and students will get this wonderful experience. Thank you so much. Good night.
Who did you guys mentor with?
Andy Gagnon.
Molly Joyce.
My mentor was Travis Ramsey.
Her name was Rebecca.
What's it like working with her?
It's great. She describes what she means in wonderful ways, like she can. And then, like, if I don't understand, she'll actually send me examples of what she's meaning to say, and she's always given me great ideas, different ways to write out the music, and different ways just for, like, my key signatures and time signatures and everything. So it's absolutely wonderful working with her.
My mentor was Eric.
Eric Nielsen.
Eric Nielsen.
And he mentioned a lot of things that I would never really thought about in terms of dynamics, in terms of like note placement, and it was a new experience, and I think it caused me to think in a different way and think more about my compositions. I think it was really helpful for me.
You're a mentor?
Cool. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Not just an interviewer. A mentor. I've been mentoring on and off since 2005. It's almost 10 years now. And this is the first one I've ever been able to come to.
This whole experience is amazing to have, and I think that people forget when we do this project, like this is my 5th time doing Opus, and I didn't realize that it's not very common to have your compositions performed. I never realized that because of this program. And when I went to a college audition, I met with their composition professor, and he told me, he's like, this is amazing. I've never seen this. I've never seen good performances of good compositions that you already have. Like, that doesn't happen. And so the fact that, you know, so many people get to do this every single year, twice a year even, it's amazing. I don't know if there's anything like it, really. It's really cool.
For myself, I feel extremely lucky to be able to do something like this because I've talked to other people from other schools that had the interest and their schools didn't really go on with this program, and so I really because my plan is to become a music composer when I get older, and I want to be in between the music therapy, music composition. Cool. So to have this opportunity is great. I'm really thankful for it.
Opus has just been a great experience every time.
What's your favorite part about it?
My favorite, I can't really pick one favorite part about it because every aspect of it is great in its own way. Like the mentoring process, it's great to watch my piece develop. And then the rehearsal, it's cool to actually interact with each of the performers. Then the downtime between the rehearsal and the dinner, you get to kind of hang out with some of the other composers. And I'm always the only one from my school, so I get to meet new friends. Nice. That's pretty cool. And then during the performance, I get to hear everybody else's piece. I get to hear my piece. It's great.
That's fantastic. You guys are gonna do music comp again next year?
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome.